Welcome to Mind and Life Changes with Zoilita Grant.
Welcome, everyone, to Mind and Life Changes, where we aim to show you that you can utilize the power of your mind to improve the quality of your life. Today's episode is Tips for an Extraordinary Life. Our guest is Sandra Grace, and I'm going to read you her amazing bio. Sandra Grace is the founder of Integrative LifeWorks Incorporated, and she's been teaching and coaching since 1992. Sandra has owned and consulted for institutes, corporations, and a variety of multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs. Due to her diverse educational and experiences, she certifies many modalities and is consistently blown away by her outstanding integrative coaches, hypnotists, and energy work masters that she has trained. She excels on the stage, in the classroom, corporate training, and one-to-one client sessions. Her current passion is international keynote speaking and entrepreneurial business coaching. So welcome everyone to Sandra Grace. So thank you for being with us today.
It's an honor. It's so great to spend time with you again, Zoilita. Thank you.
So Sandra, why don't you tell our audience something about yourself and your journey that brought you to your place today?
Well, thank you. Well, I think that probably the most interesting part about what we're talking about, mind and life changes, right? About leading this extraordinary life, is that my journey has not been without bumps. And much like most of ours, those are the parts that I think have allowed me to really grow into the most fun and fascinating parts of my life. So one of the things that I like to share about people is that along the way, I tried a lot of things that weren't it, in the way of career and so on. But all of the things brought me the tools and the techniques and the abilities that I can now use to do what is it, what I love to do, right? And so I love that, I was a classroom teacher for 15 years. I was a coach. I traveled 42 weekends a year. I trained speakers and actors and debaters, and all that was really interesting. But it wasn't it, like I enjoyed that part of the journey. Along the way, I'm a 2-time cancer survivor. I've had 6 back-to-back brain surgeries, and so there have been some bumps. I'm a widow and a single mother, right? There have been some bumps. All of those things taught me, tools and techniques and ways of living so that I can now create the life that I love and work with people and support people in the way that I can. And so all of those parts of the journey, all those things that weren't quite it, right? I was working on my master's in counseling, and I was like, I don't know, counseling, that's not it. But coaching, that's it, right? So I think the best part about my journey, and you and I have talked about our stories before, so I know that yours is similar, is that we found a lot of what wasn't working or what's not it in order to come to the place that we are now, where we feel so aligned and comfortable with what it is that we're sharing, who we're in service of, and how we serve ourselves and others. And so I hope that for the people that are having the blessing of listening to your Mind and Life Changes, that they feel that they're part of a welcome community. Your pathway here has felt like it's had some twists or some turns or some bumps or some ups and downs, because all of those things create where we are now and who we are now. And I'm so grateful for every one of the opportunities I've had to now get clarity on what I want to share with the world.
That sounds wonderful. I know one of the things that I associate with you is the whole concept of self-care.
Yeah. So what's happened is, over the years, there were times when I think I did a pretty phenomenal job of self-care, and times when I did not. And when I did not, I could not serve those that I wanted to serve in the way that I wanted to. And so I've really found that oftentimes, especially in some of my communities where I teach and train and so on, that I get sort of known as the self-care lady, right? And so it's because I'm always talking to people that are caring for others about their self-care. When we love and serve others on a daily basis, and so much of our life is in service of others in this journey, that if we do not prioritize that care for ourselves, whether it be physical, structural, care, like caring for our body and our surroundings and our homes, if it's not the mental, emotional, if we're not, caring for our thoughts and our feelings, or if it's not like spiritual health care or in alignment with our value system, if any one of those gets neglected for a period of time, what we can find is the way we're able to serve others gets dropped off so dramatically, so quickly. And so, the old cliches we've all heard, put on your own face mask and then you can assist the other passengers, right? This whole idea of self-care has really become interesting. And in the years recently, as I've been doing more and more of it, what I'm finding is that there's been a lot of misunderstandings about self-care. And so part of the reason why people haven't been doing as great a job as they'd like to is maybe they just didn't have clarity about what exactly it means or how to do it. And so I'm honored to have an opportunity like this to kind of lean in and give some people some tips and some tools and some opportunities to reignite their self-care.
So let's do that exactly. Let's go into what are the ordinary everyday person that is aware that they're on the treadmill of life and they are beginning to realize they need more self-care, but they don't have a clue what that means.
Right. Well, thank you. So one of the things that I encourage is to start with a clean slate. So the biggest challenges that many people have with self-care is they have a story about what it's supposed to look like. And so a great example is a client I was just working with this last weekend where they when I arrived on the scene, I get to see them live. I do most of my work via Zoom, as I think you do. But I got to see them live, and we were at lunch and everything. You're going to be so proud of me. For the last 3 days, I've been making myself get up at 5:30 every morning and be on that elliptical. And I have just been cranking it out and I'm getting it done. And I mean, I am tired and I haven't had enough sleep and it's hard and I feel it. And then I've been making myself do it. And I just couldn't wait to tell you. And I thought to myself, as I'm sure you're thinking right now, I was like, why would you think that would bring me joy? Well, where was the misunderstanding? You would think I would say, good for you, right? And so I heard this story and I realized that this is what so often keeps people back from what they see as self-care because they have a story about what that looks like. Oh, in order to take care of myself, I really need to be working out more. I know I haven't been moving my body enough. I must make myself XYZ, right? And so because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, I help a lot of entrepreneurs manage their energy. Entrepreneurs especially get this story about they have to have this miracle mindset, $1 million morning, right? And I have to be up before the dawn and I have to crank out these 5 things and so sometimes their idea is I have to do all of this in the name of self-care, so that I can then start my day. When in fact, there's nothing caring or loving about that for you. So I remember saying to this client this week, I said, well, I'm just wondering, what might it look like if you were really excited and passionate about elliptical and you want to do that in your day? What might it look like if you did it at, say, 3 p.m? And they said to me, it's really interesting that you asked this because they're even though they're an entrepreneur, they're still working a 9 to 5. So they had this limiting belief that well, I can't do anything between 9 and 5, right? And I said, what if, for example, it was just your lunch break, that's when you took your lunch break and that's what you did. And they said, oh, Sandra, this is so great because you know what? When I was leading my best life, like back when I was a bodybuilder and I was doing all these great things for myself, one of the things I would do is I would do a 3:00 workout. And so what happened is with, kind of with my cortisol levels and my synchrony rhythms, I'd be like really high in the morning, I'd be crushing it. And then I'd just start to be coming down around 3:00. And if I did my workout then, it would give me this little boost. And then I could go into the evening with more energy. And I went, yes, now that I'm excited to hear. So now the question is, what would have to happen in order for you to love yourself enough to create a space for 3:00 workouts? Like what would have to shift in your day, your schedule? And even though they were cranking out a 9 to 5, the truth is no one cared where they were when, as long as the work got done. So if they pushed their lunch back and that was their lunch break or what, that was great, right? Or if they took 15 or 20 minutes on a treadmill to give themselves an energy boost, that's great, right? And so what happened is once we opened up this idea, all of a sudden self-care looked very different. And so we were able to reevaluate the entire self-care plan at this point, right? Because there was a misunderstanding. So one of the big tips that I would give about self-care is don't get attached to a story about what you believe others think self-care is supposed to look like. So for me, I love a warm soak in a tub, right? And so for me, that's a beautiful way as part of my end of day routine to close my days. Maybe do a warm tub soak, maybe have some chamomile tea, like all these things are beautiful for me. But the idea of sitting in your own dirt repulses you. Don't do a soak at the end of the day, right? Do a morning shower, right? Whatever works for you. So don't get caught up in the idea of like, well, I really need to start bathing at the end of the day. And if you don't like chamomile tea, don't drink chamomile tea, right? So
Right.
don't get attached to self-care looking a certain way that you've heard others say it ought look, right? If you hear your friends saying, well, I get my massage every week, and frankly, you don't like that kind of touch, don't do it, you know?
So I think here's a really important point that I want to remind our audience of. And that is the idea that anything that has urgency in it is driven by anxiety. And anxiety needs to be turned off.
I love that. I just love that. You have so much wisdom, but that awareness for people that it feels like I've got to and must and it's right now, then it's probably not associated with true self-care.
Yeah,
Right?
because it's not coming from your authentic self. It's
And
coming
worse
from
than
that
that,
humanness part of us.
right? And worse than that, what's happening is when we talk about self-care, oftentimes what we mean is taking ourselves out of the fight or flight, scenario to move from the sympathetic parasympathetic systems more effortlessly and comfortably. We're glad they're there because we never know when we have to run from the tiger, but oftentimes we make up stories about it that just aren't there. And if we can spend more time in that rest and digest, more time where we can come to that peaceful place, then we can regulate hormone levels better, right? That we can start to think more clearly and be aligned with our authentic self, as you say, right?
Absolutely. And
Right.
it makes such a difference in the quality of your life. It allows you to really discover what true life purpose is. And it allows you to, in reality, create your reality.
Yeah, I love that. In reality, creating reality. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think in self-care terms, what happens is that people have these misunderstandings about what it looks like. And so they create stories that actually are really self-sabotage and they're counterproductive. So the first thing that I say as a tip or a trick is to figure out what really feels like self-care for you. If you had the most indulgent 5 minutes or day or week or hour, what would you do? Not what you think you ought to, but what really brings joy and what would really put you in that space, that place of being connected to your authentic self. And so that's probably the first big tip. And then the second one I think is that sometimes we make it such a production. It's like, oh, and so this client was a good example that they were like, well, they really felt like elliptical was good. So they felt like they had to drive to the gym and then they had to change clothes and then they had to do the thing and then they had to shower. And they made it such a thing that just by changing it, where they put an elliptical in a easy location in their home next to their home office desk, right? Where it could just be something easy and effortlessly that could happen naturally or organically in their routine or their day, right? And sometimes that means changing it. Maybe it's not about an elliptical. Maybe you don't have the resource to put an elliptical in the middle of your space, but maybe instead you do something easy like, sit up a few times or stretch a little bit, and maybe you create something else, because sometimes again it looks like a big workout is what a movement has to look like for the body, when really maybe that sets you into the wrong energetic space altogether. Maybe instead, something just like a little bit of gentle stretching would do a lot more for the toning or the muscle building that you'd like to do, right?
I think a really key idea is to understand your own natural rhythm and to be able to fall into the pattern of what is my natural rhythm and live by it.
And don't you suppose too the idea that my rhythm may not look like anyone else on the planet, that I may be
Absolutely.
extraordinary.
Absolutely. Each of us is our own particular vibration and frequency. And we have the capacity to elevate and raise that by the power of our thoughts and the power of our feelings. And one of the things that I think that self-care needs to be part of everyone's life is that it allows you to get into that place of the pause, where instead of reacting, you can pause and enter into the world of choice.
Bringing your power back for sure, right? That pause will absolutely bring your power back. So many times the reason people are in need of self-care is because they've been giving away all day and they're not coming back to themselves. And so what a beautiful way to come back to ourselves, right?
Hmm. So do you have a process that you might be willing to take our audience through?
Yeah, if everyone wants to take just a moment and join along, if you're not driving a car, what you can do is just, maybe even find a position that's particularly comfortable for your body. A lot of times people find they like their feet on the floor and maybe recline back. Sometimes just letting your shoulders drop down or let your head feel supported by your neck feels good. Oftentimes shutting down some of your senses. So if it's appropriate, maybe just close your eyes or just allow yourself to focus in on something that feels good in your environment. Maybe just closing the eyes feels good, and just the comfort of turning off those areas feels great. Maybe it's about just having all the other sounds fade away and only following my voice at this time would be helpful. Maybe it's about something as beautiful as taking a breath in and noticing an incredible aroma that's around you. Just becoming one with all these beautiful sensations that you choose to give your attention to. When choosing a moment of self-care, you choose wisely what you give your attention to. You get to decide what captures your attention. Maybe in this space, it's my voice or your breath. Maybe it's about the right and perfect temperature of your body. How nice it is to be still for just a moment. Taking that moment to notice the space between your heart and your head. Just the place, that space between your heart and your head. Maybe you even choose to expand that space now and unite them together. Allow your heart and your head to be one with you, where you have a clarity in this moment of your intention and your attention. And as you allow your intention and attention to become one, you know that you choose for them to live in that space between your heart and your head, so that you're in a constant state of choosing. Every moment of every day of your life is a choice. And you choose what you want more of. And you invest in what you want more of. And should it be in service of you to move your attention now to the things you want more of in your life? Maybe you notice faces, people you'd like more of in your life. Maybe you see them smiling at you now. Maybe you notice activities that you choose more of in your life. Giving your intention and attention to what you want more of at this time, and trusting and knowing that what we invest in, we get more of. So invest a few moments now to just see yourself living in a beautiful, abundant life, enjoying all that you have to be grateful for, trusting and knowing that you have more than enough time here on Earth School to attract exactly what you wish, when you wish, how you wish. And just by aligning with this frequency of gratitude, you become the great magnet, the great attractor to even more of this wonderful. And perhaps now at this time, you even decide to take a few moments, 30 seconds, 3 minutes every day, just be in this space of the great attractor, in the frequency of gratitude, noticing what you wish to invest in and bring more of to your life. And what a beautiful way to care for yourself, to reset the system, and to invest in that which is in service of you so that you may be in service of others. And so it is. And in a moment, you'll find that you'll have the desire to blink your eyes open. But before you do, know what you're blinking your eyes open to. When you're ready, blink your eyes open to the beautiful life that you've created for yourself. Blink your eyes open to your gratitude and love. And notice how good it feels.
Thank you so much. That was a wonderful experience. I'm sure that our audience enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
So
Well,
if you could share, what are some of the ways people could work with you?
Well, certainly I'm happy to help in any way I can. The most predominant ways that people find me is either through my school. So Integrative LifeWorks Inc. is an online school where I teach and train coaches and hypnotists and energy workers. And so if it would be in service of someone to, you know, take one of those courses, I would be happy to support them in whatever way I can in any training. A lot of times what we learn is that it's important to be that which we want more of in our life. And so when we want to support other people in our life, when we need more coaching and support, sometimes taking a coaching training is the best way to do that, because we can learn to be our own coaches or our own energy masters instead of paying someone else to do a session for us in hypnosis or energy work. So that's always a lovely, lovely thing to do. But I know many of your followers might also be those that are entrepreneurs, or they have an entrepreneurial mindset. And so I do, in my private part of my practice at Integrative LifeWorks, I do still work with high-level entrepreneurs and helping them manage their energy and grow their business and their lifestyle that they're wishing to attract. So I still do take some clients myself, but I have a beautiful set of graduate students and affiliates that I often refer to, and I'm so honored to have so many of them that I can direct people to. So depending on where you are in the journey and what it is that you need, we can get you in some courses, or I can get you connected with some of my students or my affiliates, or depending on if you're the right fit, I would be happy to help you myself.
Very good. So I think you do speaking engagements.
I do quite a bit of international and corporate speaking events. So I love stage work, right? Whether it just be in the middle of someone's office, right, where I'm working with their team of employees to increase the sales or to get more energetically aligned with their mission as a group. I love that. And other times I'm on a big stage with a bunch of people that it's hard to see their faces close up. But any and all of that feels great to me. I like to help support people in getting more aligned with what it is they want to do and how they want to serve. So I would love to do that. Thank you. Yeah.
Very good. So all of Sandra's contact information will be below her bio in the posting of the podcast section. And we are really thankful that we got to talk to you today. If there was one message that you could leave our audience with, what would that message be?
Well, the first thing is to find the place that feels like home. And if Zoilita is that place for you, then allow yourself to consistently follow her in these ways that she's sharing the world with you, because you maybe caught this one by chance, and it might be beneficial to continue to stay with her. I've had the blessing of working with and following her for some time, and it's had a dramatic impact on my life. And so when you find something that works, if you find your Zoilita, right, then allow yourself to make time, create space in your schedule to continue to grow in the areas that feel good to you naturally. And so when you find mentors and people you look up to, like I do Zoilita, create a space for them in your life and continue to allow that to grow.
So thank you so much, Sandra, for being with us. Thank you so much to our audience. We appreciate you tuning in and spread the word. And I encourage you to get involved in the Easy Way Network. It's really a pretty fantastic platform. And remember always that when you change your mind, you can change your life.